So,
Okay, Kathleen,
okay.
I'm recording.
David, are you, okay, you're
Recording,
recording? Okay. Yep. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our second roundtable of the year. David, we're going to start recording this video, so in the event that you want to go back and watch it, or if anybody else wants to see it, it's going to be available through YouTube recording, but it'll be posted. The link for that will be posted on the WINNAKEE Land Trust webpage and our WINNAKEE-Dutchess Trails Roundtable Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. And Kathleen, right? I'm just going to mute the group and then you unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my name is Kathleen Davis. I'm from WINNAKEE Land Trust. I'm also on the Trails Committee there. The WINNAKEE-Dutchess Trails Roundtable Committee has been providing this community forum on trails to share information on trails and trail development and collaboration since 2012. So thank you for joining us today. I had the agenda posted up there. I'm sure everybody has seen it, correct? I don't need to do it again, should I, David? Well, I'm not going to. So, but I will introduce our first presenter, Kevin Smith. Kevin is chair of Ulster County Trails Alliance and also the chairman of the Woodstock Land Conservancy. He's going to be giving our first presentation today on the Ulster County 2020 State of the Trails Report. And Karl Beard will be assisting him. Karl is recently retired from the National Park Service Rivers and Trails program, is also a trails planner. So Kevin will be giving us his presentation, and around at 1:30, he will take questions. If you have a question, please feel free to enter the question into the chat feature during the presentation, and we will address the, we'll read the questions to Kevin at the end of his presentation. Okay, so without further ado, Kevin, please.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. So yeah, I'm Kevin Smith. I'm chair. It's actually the Ulster County Trails Advisory Committee. We are an advisory committee to the county legislature in Ulster County, and assist the county planning department and the administration as well with trail planning and stewardship. It's about, I don't know, 13, 14 years old now, that committee. And Karl has been through the Rivers and Trails Conservation Assistance Program, has been a technical advisor to Ulster County, as well as the city of Kingston and several of the local land trusts, including my own Woodstock Land Conservancy, Kingston Land Trust, Wallkill Valley Land Trust. And we, over the last several years, it became very apparent that something very extraordinary was happening in Ulster County with regards to our trails. Obviously, it all goes back to the walkway. It always seems to come back to the walkway. And it became apparent over time that we really wanted as a committee to try to capture a snapshot of this moment in time as we see things that were visions and dreams decades ago, and even not that many years ago, that a few people or a few stalwart organizations were advocating for, were very fast becoming a reality. And that what was starting to manifest was a connected shared use trail system that was growing in Ulster County and connecting some of our really primary communities and natural resource areas, but also connecting to Dutchess County and far beyond as the Empire State Trail project came into being. So we decided, and I have to be very candid here, Karl's not assisting me, I'm assisting him. Karl is the primary driver behind this trails report. We're co-authors, and We all owe him a great debt of gratitude for his guidance over many years on many aspects of the trails. So with that, Karl, can you share your screen and we can jump in here?
Yes. Oops.
As Karl's doing that, you'll see my virtual background today is the Ashokan Rail Trail. It's in the western section. Boyceville is behind me, and looking east towards Kingston, Ashokan points east, and this is the Ashokan Rail Trail that was completed in October of 2019. You see it again on the title page of the report. And
am I successfully sharing, by the way?
It sure looks like it to me.
Okay, I'm going to kick into the presentation then.
And this is the Ashokan, this is the Glenford Dyke, which is in the eastern most section of the trail, just west of the Woodstock Dyke Eastern trailhead and parking lot. And this is on opening day, as people, the ribbon cutting, speechifying was finished, and people were taking off out onto the trail. So next slide, Karl. So in 2019 and 2020 alone, Ulster County added 20 plus trail miles. And you see them broken out here and start to realize what it is that we're talking about, this moment that we really wanted to capture, because you see the diversity of the kinds of trail connections that were being made. The Ashokan, the North Shore of the Ashokan, being open to the public without permit or fee for the first time in 100 years. Hudson Valley Rail Trail. And by the way, the Ashokan, that was the culmination of probably an 8-year battle, debate, 33 votes in total in favor of the trail by the legislature. And then the Hudson Valley Rail Trail, that vital connection between the walkway, Dutchess County, and Poughkeepsie, and the train station to New Paltz and SUNY New Paltz. Not just a recreational trail, but an actual transportation corridor. River to Ridge Trail, extending that from literally on the western edge of the town of New Paltz right into the carriage road system at Mohonk Preserve, a joint project of the Open Space Institute and Mohonk Preserve. And then back up into Kingston, our rail trail hub, Kingston Point Rail Trail, connecting on the same Ulster Delaware corridor as the Ashokan Rail Trail on the old trolley line, a 1.5 mile urban trail, very urban trail, connecting Midtown neighborhoods to the roundout, to Kingston Point, and an amazing urban trail. And then in the middle of all of it, from 2017 to the end of 2020, the Empire State Trail was proposed by the governor and ended up being funded to the tune of $200 million over 3 years for projects that could be identified as basically shovel ready within the first year of planning, and then move to construction. 750 miles, New York City to Plattsburgh, and in Albany, Albany to Buffalo, and using the I'm never going to get the name right, Karl, the Erie Canal path, which was already 80% complete, but had those vital, that 20% of gaps. We're all familiar with how challenging gaps are to close. And so with that, we've had a transformation of trails in Ulster County. Next slide, Karl. So at this point, we're giving you a visual, and I really need to shout out here the assistance and support we had from Ulster County Planning Department, former Deputy Director of Planning, Chris White, who ran point under the Hine administration on trails, and then continued under the Ryan administration, including on the Kingston Midtown Linear Park, which is just gone to construction last week, and other trail projects that will go to construction later this year, as well as keeping the Ashokan Rail Trail open in the depths of the pandemic and the shutdown over the last year. So I'm going to hand it off to Karl now to talk a little bit about how it is that we come to be on the brink of having a truly connected shared use trail system, covering some of the major areas of Ulster County and connected in two places, not one, but two places to you all, our partners over in Dutchess County. Karl?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, this picture shows you kind of the backstory, and that's the opportunity that Ulster County has inherited from history in the form of four former railroad corridors. And what are those for? Starting up here, number one is the Ulster and Delaware Railroad Corridor, and part of that is now the Ashokan Rail Trail. The second is the ONW, Ontario and Western Railroad Corridor, that went down into Sullivan and Orange counties down to our south. Third is the Walkill Valley Rail Trail, also continued down into Orange County. And the fourth is actually the old Maybrook line that forms Walkway over the Hudson. And in Ulster County, the route actually continues south along here, but it's been sold off to dozens and dozens of private owners. But the connection was recreated along the Hudson Valley Rail Trail connection along Route 299 into New Paltz. So that's the basic framework. And up here is Kingston, that Kevin noted is the hub of these rail trails, and all roads kind of lead to Kingston in our county. And there's sort of another hub that is evolved around New Paltz with a connection to the Shanga Mountains with the River to Ridge Trail. So, the green on this map represents what's already done, the completed trail sections. The yellow represents areas that at the time of writing were at some level of planning, and some of those have since turned into green, including the link over the Kingston Rhinecliff Bridge up here, and this section leading into the city of Kingston here. So this is kind of the big picture. But kind of what's it about? Trails connect us to special places. Those places may be destinations, destinations with grand views, like Walkway that joins us. And this is another trestle entirely within Ulster County, the Rosendale Trestle, that has, we argue, comparable scenic value. So some of these places, like I said, can be destinations, places where people just want to go, just to be, to take in views, whatever. Those destinations can also be where we live and where we work, and trails can connect people in that way, connect people to places where they shop, work, go to school, things like that. So they provide functional connections in addition to recreational connections. So they're both recreation and transportation. And people have figured that out. In Ulster County, we find that those community rail trails, the community trails, received something over 600,000 visitors in 2019. That's the last or the only year for which we have the most complete data. This is a conservative number. If we were to bear down on it more carefully, I think we'd find that number is maybe 20 to 30% higher than that, and maybe in the neighborhood to about 800,000 visitors per year. And that includes, these are day visits, residents, and people from away included. Now, all those people, turns out, we discover, much to our astonishment, they actually spend money when they come. And Ulster County derived something over $10 million in direct spending by rail trail users in 2019. Again, that year for which we have the best data. And how do we come up with a number like that? Well, you take those numbers and then we broke them down into percentages, like you see in this section here. are local users, non-local people, people from outside the county. That's what we mean there. And then people who stay overnight. We have some breakdowns of what percent of those visitors fall into these three categories. So yeah, again, and what are the numbers? You know, local users, these are people like you and me. If we go out on a rail trail where we live, we tend to spend, based on about 50 studies around the taken from around the country, a range of between $3 and $13 a day. People from outside the county that visit tend to spend a little bit more, because they might spend, in addition to our ordinary Gatorade or whatever, they might buy a lunch or other incidental expenses. Overnight visitors, their daily expenditure goes up by the amount of an overnight stay, whatever that price is, $100 to $300 per day. So if we break, aggregate all those numbers, we come up easily with a number conservatively again, of about $10 million again in direct spending. That's without any multipliers that economists like to use.
Hey,
per
Karl,
year.
could I jump in for a sec?
Please.
To talk about something that Karl brought home to me several years ago, as when we were earlier in this process, which was that the fourth category here is the multi-night visitors. And when you start to have the kinds of destinations where people come, and they don't just come to be day trippers, that's great. They don't just stay overnight, but they come because there are the kinds of long distance trails or connected trails where they have enough to do that they come to spend a weekend or a long weekend, or they come to spend the week and spend a whole week exploring the trails. And then that third category, the overnight visitors, then gets multiplied by however many nights that they're staying. Thanks, Karl.
Good. Yeah, completely valid point. Yeah, and in fact, on the Erie Canalway Trail, there's a Parks and Trails New York has a presentation all about that called Bicyclists Bring Business. It's a sort of a how-to guide for that. So, the no-brainer takeaway from all this is the second bullet here: trails boost local businesses. Easy stuff to understand: restaurants, snack shops, things like that. And it turns out there's a publication called Trail Towns that was derived from the Great Allegheny Passage Trail in Pennsylvania and Maryland, that shows how it's a guidebook for how to do this kind of thing deliberately, how to capture that kind of economic benefit. And then the extended thing that we learned is that trails actually create more jobs, although it's the same kind of construction, create more jobs than road construction. And why is that? It's because big roads involve mainly big machinery, large contracts, big machinery. And trails involve more human scale jobs, things like landscape architects, designers, interpretive people, sign makers, things like that. So we create more jobs per $1 million spent than actual road construction. So interesting infrastructure benefit. Another thing we find is that every dollar in investment in trails is an important study about this. Every dollar of investment for physical activity on trails yields almost $3 in direct medical benefit. This is from a study that was done by the CDC, HHS, and the University of California at San Diego, out in Nebraska, in Lincoln, Nebraska. And why does this happen? It's because proximity counts, and that is, people who live closer to trails are much more likely to meet the recommended levels of physical activity that every major health organization in the country has been telling us to do for years, the stuff we all need. And the drill. It's 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week, and people are, again, about half is more likely to actually meet those recommended levels of activity. And by doing that, they address directly the big 3 that get us all: obesity, heart disease, diabetes, the three big killers. And it turns out that this turns up in Ulster County's Community Health Improvement Plan, the CHIP, that trails are directly referenced in our Community Health Improvement Plan. I'm kind of curious about what Dutchess might have along these lines. And the language in our CHIP says improve community environments that support active transportation and recreational physical activity for people of all ages and abilities. That's one citation. So that's, you know, our health planners get this.
If I may, Karl,
Sure.
you know, I think those last two slides, it's really difficult to overestimate their importance, because that's what really communicates to decision makers, to business people, to elected officials, appointed officials. These are the ones that really provide the data that they need to justify the expenditure and the investments in these trails as infrastructure. And I know in the Ulster County CHIP, one of the additional pieces of language in there is access to trails. It's a goal to provide access to trails convenient to where people live, no matter where they live, what community they live in the county. So there's an equity component to this as well, which I know is very important to you all in Dutchess County as well. Thanks, Karl.
Good point. And I was remiss also to mention the photograph on the right side of your screen there. And we have wonderful partners at Walker Valley Land Trust. Carrie Gentry there has been going out and interviewing people on the trails, trying to figure out what do these trails actually mean to the people who are on them, who use them. And this is a wonderful group. This is a group of young mothers that calls themselves Strong as a Mother, who find, you know, that trails are just a great place for them to, you know, get much needed socialization and exercise, you know, all of those things, you know, right in their community. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, tip of the hat to Walker Valley Land Trust there. The other thing that we found, this report was ready to go a year ago when COVID hit. And when that happened, things happened on our trail. We had to totally reorganize. What we found is what those of us who are, you know, recreation, you know, park planners have known for decades, is that parks are in fact essential public infrastructure. When COVID hit, the usage on our trails doubled easily, and we saw the same thing all around the country, 200 to almost 500% increases in trails, depending on where you are. Some of our most treasured parks and trails closed, Mohawk Preserve among them. They just could not safely manage things at the time and needed to close. And we struggled, our rail trails strained at the time, but we managed to keep them open. And we provided the escape valve for all of that pent up demand. And you know, why was that? It's because trails, you know, people begged us, you know, keep the trails open. Trails are essential. Getting outdoors is essential for physical and mental health. And I would argue, you know, trails and parks are actually public health infrastructure, and they are as important to health, to public health, as is any hospital, any clinic, gym, or YMCA. Why? Is because people actually get out and use them. They spend time on them. They actually need to spend time on them. And our rail trails are especially well adapted to the current environment because of their width. They enable social distancing. You can get, you know, pass safely in either direction. And just in general, they're great places for kids to get outdoors, to get together, to you know, learn how to ride a bike without fearing for their lives on our streets, things like that. So, and yeah, just a, you know, reference to the rest of the report. I hope you get a chance to read it, and we should probably put the link up in the chat. Trails are really for people, and that really is the core of our report. They connect us to our communities, like we've shown. They connect us to our surroundings, and they connect us to each other. And you know, our trail stories that we include in the report, they are just ways of documenting the way that the quality of people's lives is really enhanced by trails. And I like to say that, trails let us live in growing, hopefully growing communities without becoming hemmed in by that growth, but actually enabling us to grow in healthy ways within healthy communities. So with that, and with this next slide, I'll hand it back to you, Kevin.
Did you put the trail stories, the photos up there, Karl?
I did not.
Or
We're running out of
didn't?
time,
Okay.
dude. Yeah.
Okay. Can you just flip it up for 1 second?
Run back one.
Just, yeah, to trail stories. I just wanted people to actually see that, because since that's, if you have it handy.
You've
I
got
do not
like
have it?
3 minutes. So.
Yeah, we do not have
Okay.
it handy.
So with
You'll
that,
read the book.
with that, yeah, and I would encourage you all. I will put in the chat the link to the digital version of this on Ulster County Planning's website, and then we also have available a number of copies, printed copies, high quality printed copies of this courtesy of the National Park Service program, which Karl was able to secure as part of the grant of technical assistance to Ulster County. So if any of the organizations here would like to have copies of that, all they have to do is reach out to Karl or to me, and we will make sure that they get copies of it. So now, at this point in time, we have 75 miles of completed shared use community trails out of a potential 120. And it's actually a little bit higher than that now, because as Karl mentioned, since the report was released, the Empire State Trail was completed. So the connection between the northern terminus of the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail at Rockwell Lane, just on the southern side of Kingston, into Kingston, that's a surface road connection up until Greenkill Avenue, where there's a protected bike lane, and then through Kingston, and then down in the roundout at Kingston Point, Scenic Hudson's acquisition of the Quarry Waters property, which is now going to become a state park, the Hudson Cliff State Park. The Hudson Brickyard Trail is a gorgeous trail between Kingston Point, basically, and East Kingston in the town of Ulster, and then over the Kingston Rhinecliff Bridge. We're moving fast, and I know you all are growing your trail system and connecting trails on your side of the river as well. And so we were looking at like kind of what's next, what's the real concrete things that would really move things forward in very tangible ways that make the most difference. Complete the trail network, close those gnarly gaps I mentioned. We have them in our trails, and I know you do on yours. Look for new extensions that are meaningful, that provide real benefits to communities. And then using that Trail Towns model, weaving the trails into the community. So making gateways to the trails from communities, wayfinding, signage, and as well, I would stress complete streets are part of this as well, because this is where we have this layered connection between communities and the surface street and surface road system and these recreational trails, many of which follow historic valleys, transportation corridors that connect communities to our most valued natural resource areas. Stewardship, really important. We saw that last year during the pandemic. And count the trail users, because if we can't count them, we don't really know what we have. And then capture those vital health and economic benefits. Again, emphasizing the trail town models. So with that, we just thank all of our trail partners. So many large organizations and small ones like mine at the Woodstock Land Conservancy, as well as community organizations, trail stewardship organizations. They're the ones that really provide the horsepower for this effort. And so we're just so grateful to all of them. And I want to personally thank you all for the opportunity to share our report with you in the spirit of looking where we can partner together in the future to move forward what I believe is a regional trail system that is unparalleled anywhere. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin and Karl. I'm looking in the chat session for any questions. If anybody has any questions, they can certainly either type them in, or you can unmute and ask right now. I don't see a question right now.
So I'm going to ask a question, Kathleen. So Karl, can you speak to some of those gaps that exist right now, and what what the potential is to close those gaps?
Kevin?
We have, sorry, I was just putting a link to the digital version of the report in the
Okay.
chat. Karl, you want to jump in, or you want me to?
You're the guy with the finger on the pulse.
We have gaps on the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, far down in the southern end of it. We have a gap where the abandoned Wallkill Valley Rail Corridor runs through a Department of Corrections property, and that's a difficult one.
That's
Because of
Shogum
the
Correctional
security.
Facility. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shogum Correctional Facility.
There's real, security issues there that have been, expressed by DOC. So they're working through those. As well, we have on the O&W, that's the, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Route 209 O&W corridor. There are, later this year, the what's called the Ulster County Kingston Rail Trail Project, which will connect uptown Kingston, Washington Avenue, right? If you're familiar with Kingston, right between the Best Western Hotel and the Super 8, the vital connection out to the Hurley Rail Trail, and on the other far side of that, the Marbletown Rail Trail will go to construction, we believe, assuming approvals by the legislature late in this construction season of 2021. And at that point, we'll have a connected trail from uptown Kingston out to, I think, about Accord or so. But there's gnarly gaps in Accord. There's other ones in Wawarsing. And we're really looking to see how we can work public-private partnerships to bring to bear the kinds of resources, planning and transaction, assistance, right-of-way acquisition resources to solve those. Karl, do you have anything to add to that? And then on the UND corridor, we have the connection. We had a compromise policy for the UND that enabled both the continuation of tourist rail, as well as the Ashokan Rail Trail and the Kingston Midtown Linear Park to move forward as trail-only sections. The policy calls for preserving future connectivity between Kingston and the Ashokan Rail Trail. So that's one gap. And then we have other sections that are under study right now in the far western end of the Ulster Delaware corridor at Bel Air Ski Mountain, if you're familiar with Ulster County. So we have gaps, west of Phoenicia. We have a number of gaps. We have lots of opportunities, let's say, as well as like the big ones from the Kingston Rhinecliff Bridge north to Saugerties. We do not have an abandoned rail corridor or a utility right of way or a just a really ready corridor of some kind that could be repurposed to serve as a recreational trail. So that's one that we need to start thinking about long-term, 10, 15 years out. Karl, anything you would add to that?
Yeah, I think that issue extends south also, along the Hudson River corridor, all the height of the county, really. And where the railroad corridor, where there's an active railroad, actually, the economically viable railroad. So yeah, plenty of opportunity. There's enough to keep us busy for another generation here. But good question, Warren.
Okay. Let's see. Am I muted?
No, you aren't.
Nope, you're good.
So
Shall I
there's a
stop my
question
share?
here from so there's a question here from Peter Van Aken. Are the Hudson Valley trails marketed to New York City / is that Albany, Peter?
Yes.
Yeah, marketed to Albany as well as New York City. Can you?
That's a really
speak
good
on that?
question. That would that would be a good question for Lisa Berger, the Director of Tourism for Ulster County, who presented on Ulster County's trails this morning for the Chamber of Commerce. I would imagine so. I know that New York City, obviously the metropolitan area is a real big marketing focus for tourism. I would imagine that it would encompass Albany as well.
Okay, and Sarah did remark that Kingston Green Line Trail sections and project status notes and other information are available, and she has listed the link there to the website for the kingstongreenline.org for
Okay,
that
great.
information.
Yeah, I neglected to mention the Broadway Streetscapes project, which is in Midtown Kingston, right on Broadway, between a brand new roundabout that's going in at the I-587 Broadway Albany Avenue intersection and runs to Grand Avenue. And that's going to have a two-way protected bike lane on it, which is a really big change, and innovation in Ulster County.
Wow. I have a question. Let's see, unless there's something else there. Oh, Dan from Greenway writes that the Empire State Trail is being promoted by I Love New York. And Emily has also replied that Duchess Tourism markets our outdoor recreation on its new website at duchesstourism.com. Go explore.
One thing that that we know about our trails in Ulster County is that 2/3 to 3/4 of the visitors are in county, and in county visitors, that's tourism as well. When somebody comes up from New Paltz or Gardner to the Ashokan Rail Trail, they're coming up, they're spending money, not as much money as out of county visitors, but when we talk about these health benefits that are really large, they're much larger than the other economic benefits. I always think about that big number of the local residents that these benefits extend to our residents and visitors alike. And I really love that about them.
Well, we have 1 minute left. Anybody else have any questions? Comments, remarks, observations? Okay.
If I may, Kathleen, the
Sure.
last thing I'd say, because we didn't really include it in the trails report in our presentation today in a big way. I think it's very important that we look at these trails as multi-solvers, that they help to address a number of different things that are important for our communities. And one of them moving forward is transportation and decarbonizing our transportation system. And so this recreational trail system, as it connects into communities and through communities, it starts to really reinforce a non-motorized, active, healthy transportation network that's making our communities more livable at the same time that it's helping de-emphasize quite so much emphasis on private vehicle miles traveled, as it were. Thank you.
Yes. Hope so. That and electric cars. Okay. Thank you very much, Kevin and Karl. We're going to move on now to Devin, who is going to be giving us from Dutchess County Planning Department. Devin is a senior GIS project coordinator there, and he is going to give us an overview and information on the Dutchess County Parks and Trails website app. Go ahead, Devin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Kathleen.
Sure.
Yes, so as Kathleen said, my name is Devin Rigolino, and my role at the county is focused on using spatial analysis and mapping tools to assist both the planning and health departments in carrying out their work. One of the nice things about the Parks and Trails website is that it's really a great service that benefits both health and planning at the same time, because the website can be used as an instrument for inventorying our parks throughout the county, for planning recreational outings, but it can also serve as a platform to promote healthy activities and fitness goals. And Emily, thank you. I saw your comment earlier in the chat window that yes, increasing access to safe recreation, that's a goal of Dutchess County that we're committed to, and the Parks and Trails site is a great tool that helps connect people to recreational opportunities. So what is Parks and Trails? There we go. It's a map-based website containing information for nearly 200 parks, more than 380 miles of trails, and a large collection of 360-degree photos. It invites visitors of all ages and abilities to search and find destinations in Dutchess County based on their desired activities, their fitness goals, or their physical abilities. It was first launched in 2019, and since then it's become the county's third most utilized application and has been accessed over 1 million times since launching. So as the years go by, the popularity grows even more. And when I talk about Parks and Trails, I always like to take a minute to just acknowledge and give thanks to everyone who was involved with creating the Parks and Trails County website. Pulling the project together involved a lot of collaboration, both internally and externally within the county, as well as a lot of other outside involved stakeholders. And my predecessor, Bob Wills, who of course many of you here know well, he did a great job leading this project through development, and maintaining and promoting the website is a mantle I'm happy to have inherited, because it's a really awesome tool. I'm going to talk about some highlights, and we're going to go through some just kind of screenshots of the website, and then at the end we'll take a dive in and a tour of the actual website. So the process of creating this site involved soliciting a lot of input from parks and recreational directors and staff, from planners and other stakeholder groups, and a lot of the feedback received focused on adding additional search functionality to the site, including lots of photos of each site, and having really detailed site descriptions that more clearly give visitors an idea of what they can expect when they arrive. Some of the main highlights about the Parks and Trails site are, again, its searchability, its use of location-enabled maps, its links to outside sites for additional information, its use of photography, including 360-degree photos, and its overall platform independence. And what that means is that this site and mapping application were developed internally by our Office of Central Information Services to specifically be used by any operating system. And so that means, for example, you can access this from a Mac or a PC computer, from a Samsung tablet or an iPad, or from an Android phone or an iPhone. Another bonus that comes with us developing the site internally with our OCIS team is that the county is able to pretty quickly customize the site and make changes. So it's pretty easy to maintain. So we can quickly respond to new changes. So if a new park opens up or a new playground is built, we can pretty quickly and efficiently respond to that and keep everything up to date. So this is the landing page. Again, once we're done with the slides at the end, I'll go ahead and open the site so we can do some live navigation as well. And of course, I strongly encourage anyone who hasn't visited this site before to check it out when you get a chance. Maybe the next time you want to go for a hike, you can challenge yourself to go somewhere new instead of your old favorite place. And this site is a great tool for helping you match with a new location. So when you first open the website, this is what the landing page will look like. If you happen to know the name of a site that you've heard about and you want to check it out, you can go ahead and type it in straight away into the search box. But if you don't have a place in mind, some of the best features about the Parks and Trails website are its various search functions. So if you were to go ahead and click the Filter by Amenities button, it'll bring you down to a selection of activities, ownership types, trail difficulty, trail servicing types, and trail system lengths, all different options to query out which park you want to visit. So for example, if you wanted to only view parks that have playgrounds, and you can do that simply by clicking this button, and it'll narrow the parks down that only show you where playgrounds are. But if you wanted to take that search even further and say, I want to see parks that have playgrounds and trails, it'll even further narrow down your results. You can also use the park ownership section to view only the national historic parks throughout the county, the state parks, or parks that are maintained and owned by the county. And then if you wanted to look at, what parks have really hard trails, I want to really, work out and have a tough hike, or really easy trails, I just want to go for an easy stroll, you can search by trail difficulty. And then the trail surfacing is really great, especially if you're visiting with someone who maybe is using a wheelchair or is in a stroller. You can also search to see, where are trails where we have paved surfaces. You can also search through a list of all the parks and trail systems, either alphabetically or sorted by municipality. And then by selecting any one of these parks that you see here, it'll open up a page dedicated to that particular site. So this is great if you say you live in downtown city of Beacon and you just want to know what parks are immediately in my area, immediately in the city of Beacon. You can see that here. You can also bypass all of these different search tools and go straight into the interactive mapping tool by clicking the View the Full Map button. That's found on the main landing page. Or if you have location tracking enabled on your device, you can also open the map tool directly to an area where you currently are located to see anything that's located nearby. And before we actually open and view the full map, I want to also call attention to this health and safety section of the website. Here, visitors can get more information on things like Lyme disease awareness and healthy living resources. These links all will transfer visitors directly over to the county's health department's web pages for further information. Okay, so when the application opens, it will default to the main county extent unless you've selected to view parks in your area. As you can see, from directly within the mapping application along the left-hand side, you still have access to those same querying tools that you saw on the main landing page. In this case, we're only viewing parks that allow fishing and are also owned by the county. This leaves us 3 options. By clicking any one of these 3 park icons, the map will zoom you to see that site in greater detail, including a written description of the site. So as an example, let's take a look at the WINNAKEE Nature Preserve. Besides just showing park locations and descriptions, these close-up maps also show other important features like where trail access points are within the park, if there are any parking areas that are designated on site, the location of certain features like restrooms or kiosks, benches along trails. If trails are present, you can hover over those trails and click them, and additional information will pop up that lets you know, again, the surfacing type, the trail difficulty, the trail length. Permitted uses and things like that are also listed here. And you'll also notice that most sites contain several photographs in the upper left-hand corner. So you can click those and scroll through them. You can make them full screen by clicking the little button in the upper left-hand corner of the photo. And if you see these icons along the bottom of the photo, the first one has arrows rotating around it. That's how you know it's a 360-degree photo. And for a presentation like a PowerPoint, it doesn't look that great, but later on I'll show you it in live action. You can click and drag and see 360 degrees from this point to really get a feel for what you can expect when you visit the site. And this works great if you have on a computer, tablet, or smartphone. Let's take another look at another example. Here's the James Baird State Park. Most parks also have these 3 handy links under the park information section of the map. By clicking Get Directions, a new tab will open that will bring you directly to the site in Google Maps. So you can just enter a starting location and click Go, and then you'll have step-by-step directions on how to get there. The additional park info tab, or link rather, that will bring you to the site manager's webpage. So for example, for this state park, it'll bring you to the New York State Parks page. And lastly, this third link, which is the Healthy Communities Trail Map link, this will open a Healthy Communities Trail Map, which is, it's a static PDF that you can download, you can print and take with you. Some of you may be familiar with these maps. They've been in use for the county for a while, and they've been standardized to all have a common look to them. Especially if you're going to go off somewhere to a part of the county where maybe there's spotty cell service, or maybe you're the type of person that doesn't like to carry your cell phone in your hand the whole time you're out enjoying nature. You can print these maps out, fold them up, put them in your pocket, and they're great. These maps include details like trail mileage, GPS coordinates, and park address. there's a link if you are using it digitally that you can click that will bring you directly to the website of the trail owner. Again, so for James Baird, it would bring you to the states page. And they also show contour lines and general terrain and ground cover. So it's a really great map to carry with you in the fields to get a feel for what you're going to experience when you're out on the trail. And once you're actually on the website, you'll learn that there are even more features than just the ones that I highlighted here today. But one last feature that I want to mention is a contact tab, this fourth tab along the left-hand side. This allows users to submit comments and questions or concerns directly to us here at the county. It's a great feature that lets us stay on top of new developments. So again, if you're exploring this website and you happen to know a new preserve or new park opened up in your town and you don't see it here, shoot us a message in here. You can add a place marker to let us know the general area of where it is, give us a description of who should we contact to get more information. And we're able to just as easily stay up to date on new developments there. Or if there's a problem with the website, or you happen to know maybe we have a trail that's shown that's no longer active, or some other difference that you can just let us know here, and we'll get on it as quickly as we can. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. So here is the main landing page of the Parks and Trails app. Again, it opens and it brings you directly to this search bar. So say you don't know the exact name of where you want to go, but you heard about some kind of preserve or some place that you wanted to check out. Let's say I know that there's something that has the word wildlife in it. I can type that in, and you'll immediately be brought down to all the preserves and parks that have either the name wildlife in the name, or that have wildlife as a word in the description of the property. If you don't want to just type in a site, you want to kind of explore and use these querying options, you can do that. Again, you can look for sites that only have dog runs. You can look for sites that only have, well, there's nowhere apparently that has both a batting cage and a dog run, but you can, click in and choose different things to narrow down your search. Again, we have the park ownership section, we have the trail difficulty section, surfacing type, and then here's how we launched the map, the map. And sometimes it can be a little slow to load. So here's that full extent again. And if you wanted to, there's a description of what the different icons mean on the left. There's your filtering options. There's another legend here that lets you know some of the trail features. So again, you can tell a kiosk is this green one. The park entrance is this yellow star. And again, here's that last tab where we have our contact information. So let's say I wanted to go fishing somewhere, and I also wanted to, that's not right. Let's try to reload this. And see, this is why one of the reasons why I did the screenshots first, because sometimes I'm at our office down in Poughkeepsie, sometimes our internet comes in and out, and it can be a little difficult to get the map to load correctly. But I think you get the gist. Basically, you can select your activity type that you're interested in and any other search criteria, and then you can zoom in and check out a park. So here is Wilcox, for example, which is a site where you can, where there is baseball cages and you can camp, and there is fishing allowed, and other things. Here you can see that you can have that long description. A lot of times it'll be cut off, so you'll want to click that show more button to get the full description. And again, you have these 360-degree photos where you can click and drag to really get an idea of where you're headed.
Okay.
So am I out of time? Okay.
Oh, we can, yeah, well, it's time now for questions and answers.
All right, yeah, happy to take any
But
questions.
wow, this is such a fantastic site and tool. It's just amazing, all the information and the way it's made available to you. It's fantastic. Let's see. So over in the chat section, Rob, do you want to unmute yourself? And that's Rob Wills, and
Yep,
ask your
hi.
question or make your comment. It's sort of lengthy.
which comment was that?
Robinson asked Devin for the mapping of the Hucklebush Railroad.
Right,
Oh,
right, yeah.
Oh, was that a personal note to someone?
Right, that was Robinson, Greg's question about trails in more trails northwest Dutchess County. We did map the rail lines that were there, especially the Hucklebush line that went from Rhinecliff through Red Hook and Jackson Corners and off to Pine Plains and Sharon, Connecticut. It would be wonderful to try getting some activity on that trail, on that potential trail, on that old right-of-way, to get that established, at least sections of it, to get it established as a trail. Right at the Roloff Jansen Kill and Academy Hill Road, I believe it is, in Red Hook at Jackson Corners area. The remnants still exist of the foundations of a trestle that was probably, it looks like it's 1,000 feet long that used to be there, but you know, there's some fantastic artifacts, historic artifacts from the railroad itself that still exist. That would be great to someday walk on.
Okay, thank you. From Kevin Smith for Devin. Are the trail maps geo-referenced PDFs?
Yes, the healthy living trail maps are.
What does that mean?
So that means that when you use them, sorry, let me pull. That means that there are geo-referenced data, like GPS data, behind the trails themselves that are in the map. So when you open it, it's all geo-referenced.
Oh,
It's
could you do that
it's a
again?
special, sorry, it's a special like feature when you export the PDFs. You can choose to embed the spatial information within the document itself.
Oh,
So with certain software on phones, for instance, your location could appear on the PDF.
Very valuable.
cool.
Yeah, if you're
Let's
yeah,
try
right.
that.
If you have like a tablet or a cell phone with you in the field and you're viewing the maps digitally, yeah.
Okay, great. From Brenda. We will have a trail loop at the new Traditions neighborhood development that is close to Hucklebush. They also are putting up a Hucklebush designation. Just a small beginning. Well, there you go already.
Hey, that's fantastic, Brenda. I know when they were planning that subdivision, we were trying to get them to preserve the old right-of-way. But even if it's not, it'd be great to connect that neighborhood with a trail to the center of Red Hook. That'll be fantastic.
In fact, the WINNAKEE Land Trust is going to be holding a trail easement on those trails.
Great.
Okay, wow. Okay, so once the trail is created, the trail map, it'll have to be sent to Devin, right?
Yep.
Hey, Devin, I got a question for you. In the categories of ownership, are you going to be adding a category for like nonprofits, or what's the thinking on that?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm not familiar or maybe Bob could chime in. I'm not sure if the conversations like before the site was launched, evolved around having other categories. As far as I know, I haven't been told that we would add a more. I don't see why we couldn't. If it's a desire and feedback that we consistently get, we could certainly think about expanding on ownership categories.
I think we thought there was so much overlap between not-for-profits and municipalities and such that we just kept it to the largest
The big three.
landholders as categories.
Okay. All right. If there aren't any more questions, then at this point, we're going to move on to our regional trails updates. And thank you,
Kathleen,
Devin. Yes.
Didn't you ask if there was a way to list events on the Parks and Trails website?
Yeah, I did. I did enter that question. So, and I forgot to read it. So, yeah, is there a way that, you know, let's say Winnakee is having a trail event, is there a way that that could be posted on the Dutchess County app site there?
Yeah, so we do have a section in the website for upcoming events. I didn't highlight it today just because we currently, because of you know, COVID and everything, so we don't have a very full calendar right now. But there is there is a way that you can link events and bring the county calendar and things. So if there is an event at a specific park, you can let me know and I can see if we can get it posted.
Okay, we just hit that contact tab and type it in there then.
Yeah, or in your case, if you have my email, you can shoot me an email.
Oh, okay, thanks. Even better. Okay, great. Regional trail updates. Let's start with the urban trail. And let's see, Emily, are you going to be giving the presentation or?
No, it's Matt Dutcavich from
Oh, it is
County Public Works.
Okay, Matt, take it away, please. Are you unmuting yourself, Matt? You see him?
There we go. Better?
Okay. Yeah.
You got me? Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, I unmuted my phone. I didn't unmute in Zoom. So I don't have a graphic here to go for you guys. My graphics are a bit dated at this point. So I assume everybody basically knows the Urban Trail Project, is generally aware. The county has old CSX rail line in the city and town of Poughkeepsie. Runs basically from North Hamilton to Hudson Heritage on the east and Marist to Hudson Heritage on the west. So we've been undertaking preliminary design. We have what we think is going to be an excellent corridor. We look at it largely as transportation, I think, before recreation. As we look at this one, we think it's a really unique opportunity for our trail systems over here. And really what we want to give everybody a heads up on is in the next probably 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to start a proper outreach for public input. So we're going to have a website go out with a dedicated email address. We're going to have some events around the walkway, farmers markets. We're going to have some traditional public meetings. It's going to go on for probably about 6 weeks or so. So we want to get a word out that this is coming. The more information we get, the better. We're going to have surveys for everybody to take online. And generally speaking, I think these kind of pop-up intercept events are going to get us our best feedback. I find people don't generally like standing up at public meetings and engaging in that way. So, you know, I think a lot of you were probably here when the design team and myself were here in the fall. And what you saw there is largely what we decided on. A fair portion of the trail is going to be split with, you know, a bike side and a walking side is going to be lit 24/7. We're going to plow it in the winters. Another kind of major design decision we made is we're going to go over Fulton Avenue with a bridge, but we're only going to cross it at one of our 2 locations in Fulton from a safety perspective. That's basically it in a nutshell, because there's going to be a lot more information in the coming week or 2 where you guys can really dive in and take a look and let us know what you think.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Matt?
Yeah, Fred Schaefer. Can I ask Matt a question?
Sure.
Matt, have you thought about the connection to the Poughkeepsie waterfront through Marist College? Looking into that, has that come up yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to connect to Marist. We're looking at like 2 or 3 connections there. The Marist leg basically from Kittredge down at like the water plant, the wastewater plant.
Right.
And then it's going to run north to Fulton, and then that's going to end at Fulton. It's not going to cross and keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean from Marist waterfront all the way down to De La Valle along the Poughkeepsie waterfront.
Oh, like heading down like towards the train station?
Yes, right, yeah, because the walkway, that's going to be cleaned up underneath so that the trail can go right from the Duchess 1 construction all the way through under the walkway to Warriors Park, and then around Pale Rock, and then to De La Val, past the Shadows, and then
Right.
to De La Val. So I think there'd be about a 3-mile nice trail right along the waterfront there. That would just be beautiful. The
Sure.
sunsets and the water. Sarah
we're-
Brennan is working on it for the city of Poughkeepsie.
So on
And I've been-
that southwestern, I guess technically it's a start because it's on the south at like the water treatment plant. We're gonna have a sidewalk that crosses and ties in to the sidewalk that leads you down that direction. But that's kind of the limit of our project. So you'll be able to get there from the trail, but we're not building out a waterfront, trail as part of this project.
Yeah, but in front of Duchess One, there is a trail now, and then can connect with the walkway elevator too. So I don't know whether that's of interest to anybody, but I know Sarah Brennan with the City of Poughkeepsie council person is working on it, and I've been taking a lot of photographs of it. I think it's very doable.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. We're hoping to actually be out looking at some things in the field next week. So, and we've been talking with Paul Hesse over in the city about things going on over there. So we can touch base
Okay,
about all
thanks.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Matt. Let's see, let's move on now. Let's keep on schedule here. We have Beth from Hudson Valley Greenway. Give us some information on any type of rail or trail and community grants. Hi, Beth.
How are you? Yeah, so between the last roundtable and this one, the Greenway was given authorization to open up our grants program. So we had our next board meeting is June 10th. So the due date was May 7th. So that was planning, trails, and National Heritage Area grants. But because of the delays that we've had because of COVID and everything, we're going to be offering all of those grant programs for the next board meeting as well. So I'm pretty sure I'm just double checking because it's, left my mind at this, unfortunately. But it's on our website, grants and funding, and all of the different applications are there. And so the next board meeting will be in October. So the due date for grants is September 10th. So, and if you have questions on how to apply for a trail grant, you can just reach out to me by email or phone, and I'll get back to you. But yeah, so we're hoping to, be able to get back into the swing of things with that. And just on another topic, we will be having a ramble this year, Hudson River Valley Ramble. Last year was canceled due to COVID. And it will not feature a printed guide as it usually does, but it will be available. The website is full. The website is fully accessible to search for events. But in addition to that, there will be a PDF of the booklet guide, and you'll be able to access that on our website. And we hope to kind of distribute it if anybody is interested in hosting a copy on their website. That would be fantastic. So the full details are hudsonrivervalleyramble.com, and you can submit an event right there. We're also allowing virtual events this year, which I don't think we would have ever disallowed, but they weren't as popular, and no one was asking for it. So there's a specific category just for a virtual event. So even if there's something that you're hosting that isn't taking place outdoors, but it follows the themes of the National Heritage Area, the nature and the culture and the history of the Hudson Valley, in September, then please, it can be any day in September, and please head to our website and feature it. And we will still be doing, guide shirts and all of that. But whatever the New York State Department of Health guidelines are for COVID at the time will be what everyone needs to follow, as far as holding events. But many of these are already rather small and outdoors. So hopefully, this is going to be a really great opportunity for people to get out there, after being inside, for so long. And I had one last thing to update, is that we are working on digitizing getting updated maps and digitizing in GIS all of our designated greenway trails. So I may be reaching out to some of you to look for, if you have GIS data on our trails. Devin, I'm looking at you. So that is something that will be hopefully on our website. We don't have the GIS capabilities that some other agencies have because of our size, but we're partnering with another firm that is going to do it for us, and hopefully that's going to be a nice new feature on our website. So, anybody has any questions? I yield the floor.
Wow, thank you for the updates. And it's good to hear there's going to be an grant extension on the grants. And that's for, did you say for trails and
in the planning grants, yes. And I'm not sure about the National Heritage Area grants.
Okay.
But we are offering both the trails and the planning grants again. It's just rolling basis this year. So but the next deadline is September 10th.
Okay.
The awarding grants at the June and the October board meeting.
There was a question about the dates of the ramble.
It's every day in September.
Okay, thank you, Beth. We have to move on to our next presenter. That's Rob Pollard, Recreation Director for the Town of Hyde Park, and he's going to give us a little information update on the Hyde Park trails. Rob, take it away.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
No, not yet.
Screen share?
Yeah, you've got co-host, so you should be able to share it.
Okay. See it now?
No. Are you not finding the file, or?
Well, I hit the screen share, but it's not.
You're
David?
Yeah, it should work. Yeah, redo that.
No.
Okay, you can try again. Here we go.
Here we go.
There we go. All right, so just I'm gonna run through this really quickly because I don't have much time. Just kind of to go over what we have accomplished by using the Greenway grants here in Hyde Park. So these are the eligible projects for the grant, as many of you probably already know. And we pretty much touch base on all these in our grant application and use. So we plan and design our trails. We use our trails for educational purposes. We also use them to promote healthy lifestyles with our trail patch. We created a website for the town, strictly for trails and parks. You see, we have in-depth maps of our trails and our neighboring partners. This is our trail patch program. So then these are some of the brochures that we have created over the years for the trails, with our latest one being this one here, our 2020 version. And we also, you know, as the committee, we partner with the state and national parks, as well as WINNAKEE. Then we also do trail improvements. Here's kiosks, interpretive panels, which where we are on right now is the interpretive panel, the last step of our grant, which is at the designer for the final cut for that. And then we also work with volunteers and colleges in the community to construct our trails, which is all comes from the grant, assists us with that. As you can see, us building a trail with the CI College, Conservancy of America. We also work with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, volunteers, other educationals, as Marist College also does work parties with us. And let's have a quick video made by a volunteer, Marist student that worked with us on trails.
that it?
Yep.
Okay, great. A lot of information there.
Yep. So you can see that the grant does not only just help us build the trails, it helps us, maintain them and educate others about the trails.
Definitely.
Nope, don't want to do that.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Yep.
If there's any questions, we'll take them at the end at this point. We want to make sure we get everybody else's reports. So let's move on to Warren Rosenthal, Land Project Manager at WINNAKEE Land Trust. Hi, Warren. Do you have any updates?
I do, and I'm going to share the screen.
Okay. David?
I have to get you. I can't do it. You have to enable me here.
You got it now, Warren.
What's that?
You should have
Okay.
access. Yeah, try
Okay.
sharing now.
All right. All right. Let's see if I can find where I am here. Let's see. Why can't I see what I'm going to share here? Is there a way to scroll here? I don't see where
What is it? Can you
I'm
see the
trying to
file?
find the file. I have them open, but I can't find them here.
Can you
Oh,
go to
maybe, so you're trying to get out of Zoom to take a look at your files?
No, I said I have it open here, but I can't find the
particular file?
Yeah, I don't see why I can't see it.
Can you go to your bottom there and pick it out from your PDFs or your file folders?
Maybe exit full screen.
That's what I was going to recommend.
I don't know. I'm not finding it.
Or keep looking, and maybe do you want to go ahead with your report, or do you want maybe Dick to go ahead with his if he doesn't have a?
All right, let me see if I can try doing. Hold on a second. I don't know. I don't know why it's not.
Okay, we're going to come back to you. Keep looking, okay? Do you want? Should we rearrange your order here? Okay.
All right,
we're going to come back to you.
Hold on, I got one of them here. Okay.
All right.
Yep, can see that.
See it?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Is it the Bly Marsh one?
Yeah. Can you make it smaller though, so we can see the whole thing?
That's a Sisters Hill.
That's Sisters Hill, Warren.
Is it the Sisters Hill one?
Yes.
All right. You want me to reduce the size? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's 3 new trail systems that WINNAKEE has developed in the last few months. This is the most recent one, and it's not quite complete. It should be done hopefully in the next few weeks. It's in town of Stamford on Sister Hill Road. It consists of a total of about 1.3 miles of trails. It's going to follow both the old rail bed here, shown in green, as well as some old woods roads shown in orange and yellow. So we're as I say, we're very close to completion. There'll be parking right here where it says primary access, and you can have secondary access here where the rail trail comes out on Sisters Hill Road. So it's a beautiful property, and so hopefully it'll be enjoyed by the community there. And it's just across the entrance right here, is just across from Sisters community farm here. All right.
And what town is that in again?
That's the town of Stamford.
Okay.
All right. So let me get to the next one here.
Okay.
I can find it.
quickly.
All right, is it showing up?
No.
Not yet.
Let's try this. All right, what are you seeing it now?
Yes.
Yep, Bly Marsh.
Nice.
Okay. So Bly Marsh Preserve is one of our newest preserves. This trail system is complete. It's located in the town of Rhinebeck at 186 Bly Road. It's a total of 1.4 miles of trails. There's 2 loops. There's the green loop and the yellow loop. They're both easy to navigate, and there's really no steep sections on either one of them. So they're definitely family friendly. Beautiful place to observe birds and animals as you're walking along the trail in the marsh. And then our last trail system is let's get that over here. Is Duchess Gables. Again, located in the town of Stamford. It has a little over 3 miles of loop trails. Very family friendly. There's a couple of, there may be one section that's somewhat steep, but the trails are wide. The footing is very secure. It's very easy to walk on. And beautiful, you can get some beautiful views right here looking east to the Taconics. There's some nice wetlands, wetland areas, so it's great for viewing birds and animals. The parking lot will be right here where it says main entrance. It's being developed as we speak. And there's also a secondary access here where there's an historical cemetery. So I encourage everybody to check this out as well. So those are 3 new areas to walk on in Dutchess County. And I hope everybody will enjoy them.
Thank you, Warren. And we'll look for them soon on the Dutchess County Parks and Trails app website.
I thank you, Warren, and I can confirm that Dutchess Gables and Bly Marsh are both beautiful parks. Thank you for letting me in there.
Okay, we're going to move on to the Harlan Valley Rail Trail update with Dick Hermans from the Harlan Valley Rail Trail Association. Hi,
Hi
Dick.
there, everybody. At our last meeting, we talked about the trail opening up here north and going north from Millerton. And I can happily report that it is a very heavily used section of trail. It goes 8 miles up through wetlands and with an amazing view of the southern Berkshire Mountains. Our focus as an organization, we've executed a new memorandum of understanding with state parks, so that kind of delineates our responsibilities, their responsibilities. And we have just gotten, or are moments away from getting approval from the Department of Transportation to put a bridge across Route 22. I'm thinking of calling it Walkway Across 22. What do you think? And that hopefully can go out to bid this summer. Our group did the design work and got the grant for the design. We raised the about 400,000 matching funds for the $2.5 million project. It's a very expensive mile of trail, but it's going to connect us with Hillsdale. So when it's complete, we'll have a 26-mile trail from the hamlet of Wassaic to the hamlet of Hillsdale. And it's a spectacular ride, walk, or however people want to do it. And that's my update.
Congrats.
Yeah.
It feels good. We're everything's very exciting here in Millerton right now. This little village is getting a lot of attention in the media, and we have all sorts of stuff happening all over town.
Okay, great. Thanks. A lot of economic activity up there too, I imagine.
You bet. You bet.
Can you tell us what's going on north of Hillsdale?
Well, the next section, logical section, would be a connection out to the Taconic Hills Central School. But it is hardly, it's a little bit of a dream. There is a project that's going on. There's a farm that is not owned by the state, so there's a break in it, but they are applying to have a solar farm there. And the solar farm people said they will definitely design a trail through that property if they get approval. So, but it's not certain how long that's going to take. So it's a little slow going. Up further north between Chatham and Philmont, the idea is more developed, but we haven't really been able to get a local group firing up there. We really tried to get started last year, but the COVID just kind of made meetings impossible. So, we'll try to get that going and try to get the town board of Ghent seems to be a little interested, and the village of Chatham is interested. And there's some citizens in Philmont who are interested, but nothing has quite come together yet.
Okay, thank you very much, Dick.
Sure.
We've got Matthew, are you there from Marlborough Nature Trail? I think Matthew was going to call in. David, is there a way to unmute him, or are you there, Matthew?
Don't see any phone numbers on the list anymore. There was somebody earlier.
Yeah, I think that might have been him.
I don't see Matt.
Okay. Very good then. All right, so we're going to open up the forum now for
How
any
about
questions.
for me?
I think
I'm
Ron
sorry.
Rosen has a
Thank you.
pitch. Yes.
Ron from Appalachian, New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, please.
Thank you very much. Just want to do a short reminder that the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference is going to be hosting the what used to be the AT biannual. The in-person one will be August 5 to 8, 2022 at SUNY New Paltz. We're expecting to have somewhere between 800 and 1,000 people there. We're still looking for volunteers. I put a note in the chat linking to the website. And for 2021, this year, in approximately 73 days, we're holding a dispersed version of the AT Vista as just sort of an introduction, which is basically hiking, education, and entertainment. But it will be August 7 and 8, 2021. So we're looking for people who'd like to run hikes. And for 21, we're also going to be doing some pre-recorded workshops. And for 2022, we're looking for ideas for workshops. So if you go to atvista2021.org, you can sign up for our newsletter and or volunteer for this year or next year. Anybody have any questions you can ask?
Does anybody have any questions for Ron? I'll give you a minute to think about it, but we are we're open up now for questions or any kind of discussion or thoughts or ideas or.
Kathleen, I've got a quick question if you don't mind if I jump in.
Who's this?
Robinson Greg. I'm from Greg Farm up in Red Hook.
Oh, okay. Hi, Robinson.
I've been working on a small sort of trail project on the farm last year that we put in about four or 5 miles of walking trails sort of around the perimeter of the farm, using mostly space that will never be farmed, and the intent is to make it somewhat permanent. I started to speak with some of the neighboring farms too. Majorelli was vaguely interested last year for a period of time before the season got a bit busier for him. But I think there may be interest in some of the neighboring farms to start to expand what we've started on our farm to sort of build a network of trails that traverses a number of farms in the area. I think, what might help make this project catch on is, somewhat legitimizing what we've sort of just done on our farm, either putting it on a map somewhere, giving it some sort of name, finding volunteers to help build out the network. I'm not quite sure what the resources are that are available for a project like this. So just want to open that up to the floor.
Warren? Or?
Yeah, Robinson, I, I come from a farm family, so I realize you got nothing else to do during the year. But it would be great if you could. I mean, this is a forum that we can offer exactly, at least a door opening on what you're talking about. So, if you would like to come in for a modest presentation, some images, a rough map of what you got. I think this is a great, conversation to have, and I think it's a really interesting direction that you've started on. Potentially working with local land trusts or whatever to partner out some of the hard work that's involved in these kinds of trails. But anyways, that's just a thought, and we really welcome, we can take this discussion up offline by email or whatever. But I think it's what you're talking about sounds incredibly cool.
Well, yeah, I'll paste my email in the chat, so if anyone wants to reach out to me, we can sort of pick it up there.
So then I'm just having, so are they open? Are your trails open to the public right now then, or customers, or?
Yeah, I built out a network of them last year, and we've had a number of folks sort of visiting pretty regularly ever since.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, thanks, Karl. Thanks, Robinson. Anyone else? I have a question for Dick about the walkway over Route 22. When do you think construction on that will be starting? Oh, you're muted, Dick.
I'd like to think that it could start this fall. I mean, in theory, it could. The crossing of 22 is a little tricky because of the heavy traffic on that road and the big trucks using that road. So that'll determine a little bit, and whether the actual bridge can be put in place during the winter, I kind of doubt it. So it's probably springtime that it'll get finished.
If you go for a state park designation, it might expedite it.
Oh, it is going to be a state park. Don't worry. They're actually, we wrote the grant for the construction, but they're handling the heavy lifting on that. Yeah, we've come a long way in getting the state interested in the trail going north. The Taconic State Park, at least this branch of it, doesn't get really enough funding, and they're really always up against staffing issues and doing things. They're always willing, but sometimes they have limitations.
Thank you. Okay, well, we've really covered a lot of different miles of trails here today, and really appreciate everyone coming to the meeting and sharing their information and offering advice and help to each other to promote each other's trails, and hopefully we can keep these conversations going online and offline. We have our next roundtable planned for Tuesday, September 21st. We try to meet quarterly, and we're always looking for, information or, presenters to give us, a presentation on any special project that might be going on in your area or your town. So please feel free to email me or David or anyone from WINNAKEE, and we can certainly try to plan to get you onto one of our roundtables as a feature presenter. So stay in touch. We do have a new Facebook page for the WINNAKEE Trails, excuse me, the WINNAKEE-Duchess Trails Roundtable. And that's exactly the name of it on Facebook. So you can look for postings there, and you can message us through there as well. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add at this point? Anyone from WINNAKEE?
Thank you
David?
all. It was a great presentation, Kathleen, Karl, Kevin, Devin.
Yes, thank you, Kevin and Karl, for your presentation.
Our
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah,
You're
and
welcome.
I'm really glad to hear some new ideas and new people showing up. This is what we're all trying to be all about in this roundtable.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Karl. And everybody spread the word, like us on Facebook, share it with your friends, and let's keep the momentum going.
Robinson, I just dropped you an email.
I do.
And there are some comments there in chat. I'm just looking over there now. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
All right. I guess we'll wrap up then.
Bye,
Yes.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay. Terrific
Okay,
meeting.
good seeing
Great job.
everyone.